twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Freedom Network. We're live tonight. Yes, we are taking phone calls and emails. No computer. No computer. We had a little computer malfunction. Needed some updates, and so here we are. So I don't have the live news ticker going on. If the world should start to come to an end, please email us and let us know. But in any event, we are here. We're waiting for Jim. Jim should be here. We got a couple off-camera guests in studio tonight as well. So welcome to you guys. But we're waiting for Jim. He's going to come in. He's got a couple things that we're going to talk about. One of the things we wanted to talk about tonight was water. I know that's not a very highly crazy show about politics, right? But we want to talk about your town's water supply. I know there's been some issues here in Northbridge. He's had some, I think, issues in Uxbridge. So we want to talk about that. Just get a little of that local type of stuff out there. There was a lot going on about the schools today and about the new school. A lot going on out on Facebook world. Out on Facebook world's been crazy today. I've been absolutely completely on fire. Just, it's normally the same thing, right? The people that love Trump no matter what he does, they want to fight with me. The people that hate Trump no matter what he does, they want to fight with me because I just take him as I see him. I just call what I see, and depending upon things, people can get pretty heated. And the complete morons that you actually talk to so often on Facebook, it really is amazing. What really is amazing, though, is how much they want to personalize things. I mean, we've seen a lot of violence lately over politics. Violence. People, they want to be violent. I think we got a call. We'll jump in and take it. If I do that, and then I believe I do that, and we welcome you to the Freedom Network. How are you?
Hey, good evening, Gary. I'm in the presence of greatness tonight.
Oh, well, you must be somewhere besides here.
I appreciate the show, and I thank you, Gary, and the excellent staff at NCTV for everything you do.
They're great.
A couple of things I'd like to touch on tonight. The first thing is the new school, Gary, the new proposed new school funding, and I'm a little upset.
All right, what are you upset about?
I've been to several of the meetings. I've asked for offsets, for the town to be able to help fund the $54 million for the new school.
Yep.
And from what my satellites are telling me now in town hall, that they plan on offering no offsets, and basically the whole $54 million will be laid at the feet of the property owners and renters. And hopefully they'll make a change, because in my opinion, Gary, if they don't offer any offsets, basically they're cutting the school building committee right off at their knees, because it's $54 million, which is going to be a significant expense.
Yeah, it is.
And if you look at the average property owner, a $300,000 value property at 4.5% at 30 years, you're talking almost $550 a year times 30 years. That's $17,000 from that property tax owner. And if there isn't any offsets, that's quite a burden.
They're all, then everybody that's paying is just going to have to pay the whole thing. So when you say offsets, I know that we've talked about a lot of things. I thought at one of the meetings we talked about the offsets of the salvage aspect of the old school and what was going to be done with all that, and would that money be used to offset? And I'm pretty sure I sat there and was told that money would be used to offset. So I don't know where that file, where does it line in? Is that, is that including the $54 million? I mean, I do have a lot of finance questions on it. There's always a lot of questions with this stuff. I think that the fact that the town, and it's funny, I was going to talk about this. It's interesting that you brought it up, but the town government gives the people the motivation that want to vote no, let's say, on any tax increase, right? It doesn't matter what it's for. The town is giving them the motivation to go and do that when they don't include these things. Like, how about the land that the old school is on? Why can't that just be put into writing somewhere saying that we will sell this land and then take that and pay it to the bond?
Right.
Because
I,
go ahead.
I've asked the town to do a study to see if there's surplus land, and basically they're looking at just going to do a debt exclusion to fund it. Hopefully the chair of the school building committee has got back to me on an email. He said he's going to try to do something about offsets.
Yeah.
I mean, Gary, there's culpability on the town here. For the last 25 or 30 years, anybody with a sense of cerebral brain knowledge that walked into either one of those schools knows something had to be done.
Right.
And
Right.
it's the town buildings, the town responsibility. They need to step up to the plate and offer some offsets, because if they don't, then if it's voted down in November, then where are we at? And I really hate to see the time, treasure, and talent that this excellent school building committee put into this being flushed down the toilet, because the town has already spent $400,000 to do the study and to hire the expert people to come in and everything.
Sure.
And that's going to be flushed down the toilet
Well,
too.
it will be. To be honest with you, and I'll let you get to your second point in 1 second. But I mean, to not be able to come and say that there's not. I mean, so this is what you're telling me is what I forget what you called them. What did you call them? Your
Offsets.
Your assets. That's right.
Offsets, Gary.
Right, the offsets. But the people that are telling you that nothing is going to happen. There's people telling you that there will be no offsets. If there are no offsets, to me, what that shows is that they just don't want to deal with it, because there is land in this town that could be sold. There's the land from the school that certainly could be sold. There are definitely things that there could be some divesting of certain things, or possibly, we know Ed out there, if you're out there, would love to see people come and take a mill and grow marijuana in it, right? That's what he wants to do, and he wants to try to work with them to get money to go tour with these things. But if nobody's willing to work on any of this stuff, this is what I mean when I say, and then I want you to get to your second point, but that's what I mean when I say that the town government doesn't really motivate people to go out and let's go vote yes. Yeah, everybody's kicking it. Everybody's doing the best they can do. I mean, they're really burning the midnight oil trying to make this as cheap as we can make it. This is the best deal we can get. No, they just come back, and I'm taking what you say as fact, because it may not be. I'll say that in full disclosure. Maybe there are some, but not that I know of, and not that you know of. If there are none, then it's just, that's what it is. It's the same look in the face of you're on your own from the government. I'm just sick of it. What was your second point?
Well, I just wanted to say that if you remember that the Whitensville Water Company wanted anywhere between a 25 to 45% increase in the water rates.
Yes.
And at the latest Board of Selectmen's meeting, the DPW directed that said that they got between 9 and 14%.
Yeah, I
so
had
it's
heard
a lot
that,
better
yeah.
than a 25%
Yeah.
and the 45%. And I want to thank the two other private citizens that gave their opinions at the DPU public hearing in September. There was 3 private citizens that gave their opinions at that public hearing in September. There was plenty of people from the town sitting in at the meeting, but none of them offered anything at the hearing. So I wanted to get that point out.
All right, my friend.
But thanks, Gary, and I appreciate everything you do, and stay safe and stay well.
You the same, friend. You the same. Thanks for being out there. Off he goes. Well, it's some good points. I mean, how do you as a government say, hey, all right, we got to spend X amount of dollars, and then people, the citizens, are saying to you, right? Like, this guy goes to meetings, right? He's vocal. He's in there. He stands up when it's time to speak, and he speaks, right? Whether you agree with him or not, he's got an opinion, and he's going to say it. He's exercising the right to be involved and try to help to direct his government. And there's nothing. They're taking 2 schools and making them 1. It's going to be on the property of one of the schools, which is going to leave that parcel of land, right? It's going to sit there. Why the hell can't they just say, okay, well, when it's complete and we can get rid of that, we will sell that property and take it and put it toward the debt exclusion, toward the bond? Why can't that be said? Why is that so difficult to do? I don't understand it. Then that would just be one thing that might get somebody that's going to say, I don't know how I'm going to vote. You know what? Maybe I'll vote yes. I'm telling you, the whole tax issue in this town, and it's very low in taxes. All right, the property taxes here, the lowest in the valley, but lowest by far, and they are. And I argue that people are proud of that. People told me on Facebook just today that they didn't even look at the tax rate when they bought their house. And that may well be true, but you've come into a low tax area. So you've got a majority of voting citizens that want the taxes low. So now you come in and you want to raise the taxes. And what I always say about this issue, and I say the same thing every time, is the second you talk about one thing, people start to comment about everything. Well, we also need a new firehouse, and we'll eventually need a new police station. And this school over here is, already 18 or 17 or 20 years old, whatever it is, and that's going to eventually need some upkeep and some maintenance. And then we need, and all of a sudden, people start to actually float ideas of, if the next tax rate to us is $6, then why don't we raise it to the $6 or $5.50? We'll still be the lowest in the valley. But what they don't understand is if they went after, remember when they built that for the DPW, they took that vote. It was a pretty up and down issue. Nothing else was attached to it in Facebook world and all that stuff. It was just, do you want to build this building? Do you want to put up this building? Albeit they did a hell of a job making it cheap. They did a great job with it. But the people voted for it because it was simple, easy to understand, didn't infringe on anybody else. There was no big deal about it. There was a payoff date. It's going to raise your taxes. We need it. We're buying equipment. We're parking it outside. It's getting rusty and ruined. It makes absolute sense. Let's go for it. But whenever it seems to come to the school department or to anything else, this group of people lumps in and it becomes about everything. And that motivates no voters to go vote because they see what's happening. They see that it's a constant progression. So there are probably people that live in Northbridge that say, hey, why don't we just be in the middle? There are probably people in Northbridge that want the taxes lower. I always say this. You got about a third, and a third. Always no, not going to happen. Never going to vote for a tax increase. Those people are out there. They exist. There are also people always, yes, I will always vote to raise taxes. Our taxes are too low in this town. We must raise the taxes. And then there's another third of people that kind of, get in the middle, right? I voted for that debt exclusion. I almost am inclined, right? I really am, and this is the furthest I've ever gotten, as close to an election as I've ever been, that I'm still inclined to vote for this new school. I just think it's a better deal than the fix. Even if the fix is $15 million less, I don't care. You're going to have to fix it again before that thing is going to need to be replaced. So what are we really saving? But people like me are motivated to go and vote a certain way when we get this whole, everything just starts to lump on and lump on and lump on. And to me, it's just a no-brainer. If you want to do something, you got to look at it as a political effort. I've been involved with a few of them, and when you broaden it like that, you fail. Narrow, one scope. That's how you get it through. I keep giving this free advice. No one will listen. Free. Maybe if I charge for it, people would pay me and then take the, right? That's probably what would happen. All right. Anyway, I wanted to talk about water. I wanted to talk about the schools. And I also wanted to talk about, can a always Trump, just Trump always, the opposite of the never Trump people, right? The people that just literally worship the ground this guy walks on. Can a politician in the state of Massachusetts that's running statewide, not in a pocketed area running for a representative, state rep or something like that, but in a statewide, so we're talking about the governor's race, we're talking about Elizabeth Warren, and any other race that you might want to, take a peek at that might be in a large enough geographical area, right? And I have some serious doubts of someone that, when they tie themselves to Trump, so you get a guy like Scott Lively, right, who's been here, he's coming back, so they tell me he's coming back. We're going to talk about some of the tougher issues, but he doesn't shy away from that. I'll give the guy credit. I'll give him absolute credit. He's ready to go. He's ready to debate. He's ready to fire off what he believes, and I think he believes what he believes, and I respect his convictions. I just don't agree with everything that he says, but, when you get a guy like that, now he sends out his emails, and his emails, he has like a newsletter. It's called like the Trumpeter or something like that. When someone jumps in that deep with Donald Trump, can they win statewide and mass? And I don't, I look at things pretty on the line, right? I don't like that gray area in politics. I just like to look at it black and white. Trump lost by 900, I'm going to call it 950, or let's just say close to 1,000,000 votes in Massachusetts. How does a politician win statewide when they just post constantly on Facebook, social media? They have newsletters with his name in it. They talk about him all the time. Yeah, that's going to grab you crowds. It's going to get you thousands of people motivated. It's going to get you tons of votes. But is it going to make up 900 plus thousand votes in a statewide election? I don't know that it can. I'd love to know your opinions on that. I just think it's a no-brainer. You don't have to run away from the guy. But my God, and a lot of these people do what they do. I'm going to tell you why. Because they know it grabs them. I know people running for state rep offices and stuff like that. They know it immediately grabs them a little crowd. Because all they got to do is they say, I love Trump, Trump is the best. And boom, all the Trump state, I love Trump state committees, Trump for this, Trump for that. They all jump right on and they, give you all and it feels good. But remember, you're 1,000,000 people short. If you go statewide, 1,000,000 people, that's a lot of people. Just see on a couple of these emails, you have to forgive me. And then on taxes, do you pay too much for taxes? And is your government too big? Were just some of the topics that I wanted to hit. Let's slide Jim in so we can talk about water. No, I mean, you must be.
How you doing, Gary?
You must be really psyched,
I like coming
right?
in late.
I mean, yeah, you come in late. That's how you fashionably late, right? I'm the warm up for you.
That's right.
Till
There you
we
go.
bring,
That's what it
they're
is.
all sitting there like, well, when the hell's Jim coming on?
Did you tell him I was coming on?
At the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
did. I don't advertise it because I don't want to let anyone down if you couldn't make it or something.
I hear you.
Or I would tag
Yeah,
you
yeah,
in it,
yeah.
and then it would,
Right.
God knows what would happen.
Well, you're still trying to keep some listeners from week to week, so.
I know, it's all right. They may dwindle
Surprise
every
them,
time, but,
surprise them.
that's all right. Hey, it was funny because you wanted to talk to me about some local sports last week.
Oh, yes.
Right,
Oh,
you
it's
did.
your turn.
You did.
It's your turn.
Well, I wanted to talk some local sports this week with you. Now, Jim and I, if you know, are on an ongoing pool saga, but last week we had a good week with the pool team. If you looked, it projected, we're in third place now.
Right.
I had a night, I came out of my slump.
I think what happened
came
with
out
you
of my
was
slump.
what, you
Was
came,
it a
you
transposing of talent?
something like that, maybe. Yeah. I think the way it went was you lost your first two.
I did,
and
right in
then-
a row.
And then won three in a row to
Won
win the night.
3 in a row
Right.
to win the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And,
which I thought was, and not against a bad player. This guy was good.
Right. And so you want me to say what I did. So.
Well, I mean,
Or would you like to?
No, I wouldn't take that away.
Well, I, on the other hand, got beat 4 straight, didn't win a game. So.
Didn't win a game.
No.
So it reverses, right?
It
But
does.
next week we'll see what happens because this week, it's I think the last week of the regular season
Right.
for
But-
everyone.
but all
Because
said-
they're all following along.
All said and done, though, Gary, the one that I toted myself about,
Yeah.
that involved money as well.
Oh, it did. I mean, listen, I did notify the IRS. Just so I did. Look, we got to be honest here, right? On the network. So what's going on? We were talking about
I
water.
heard talks about water, and first,
And Whitensville had some. Whitensville Water had a terrible leak, and all this was going on. I tried to get some info out on Facebook. Where I'm at, there's a well, so I don't deal with the Whitensville Water Company or any water company. But when we started talking about it, you're in Uxbridge now. There's
Right.
water issues there.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but I was curious when you were on the phone with your caller.
Yeah.
He had mentioned you guys were talking about an increase that the town water was going after.
Yeah, there
What
was an increase.
What was the reasoning behind
It
that?
was probably to cover what they just had to fix. but again, and what he said, it's good you brought that up because what I thought right when he was saying it was, it's like we thank them for the lower increase. It's almost like
Yeah.
Kevin White was the master, I think, of this, the mayor of the city of Boston. They would come out and they would say, hey, we're gonna have to raise fees, taxes, or this or that by 15%, and then he would negotiate a little bit and he'd get it to 7%, and he'd come out and say, now I got it to 7%, and everybody's thanking the guy.
Yeah,
And
right.
he just increased their taxes 7%.
Right.
I don't know I don't know why they wanted the
Are you
increase.
suggesting perhaps that's what the water company was doing as well?
I mean,
Let's shoot high at 25 to
right.
45%.
Oh yeah. Well, when you want to
Imagine
stay
if
out
they
late.
actually got 45%.
Well, when
on
you
top of
want
whatever it
to
is,
stay out late, you ask your parents, right? When you were a kid, you want to come home at 11.
Right.
You say, hey, can I stay out till 12?
Right.
You don't say, can I come home at 11? Because they're going to stay. Well, why don't you come home at 10 or 10:30?
Yeah.
So you always want to push it. Right? You always just want to keep pushing.
I live it.
So yeah, right. Yeah, a few times, right? But I think that in town, I don't hear a lot of negativity about the water company. But I don't know that that doesn't mean that it isn't out there. I've heard some rumblings. I know there's been some issues. I don't know
Those
about.
meters are still an issue, right?
I
Some
believe that the meters
problems
were an
still with
issue,
the
and we
meters.
talked to Harry about that.
Yeah.
And we talked to somebody else about those meters that
Right.
time. But he was a little wild. I mean, he thought, that they were using the meters to spy in your home.
Oh, yeah,
And we
well,
thought
that's-
that was wild. And then we all went out and we bought these.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not, right?
But yeah, Uxbridge water seems to be in turmoil right now.
Really?
Yeah, they recently. Listen, I'm only going to touch on a little bit of this. I
Yeah.
didn't have a whole lot of time to get a lot
I'm
of
not an
research.
authority on the issue myself, but I mean, if there's some news out there, we get it out.
Yeah. Well, apparently, recently they failed 9 out of 12 tests. What that means and what those tests were, I don't know, and I'm going to try to find out. But to fail 9 out of 12 is probably not a good starting
Yeah,
point.
that's not good.
Right.
No, that's not good.
And on social media, there's been a lot of talk about. I guess a couple years back, they started dumping some contaminated soil, and it was actually it's in South. It's some loophole in South Uxbridge where it's actually contaminated soil on a drinking water aquifer in Uxbridge.
Really?
That's what I read today. Yeah. But I've already been hearing about this on Facebook and that sort of thing. There, all the
Right.
Uxbridge people are talking about all that stuff. But can you imagine even if there's a loophole that would allow you to do that,
Who would do
why
it?
would you?
Right?
do
Who
that?
would do it? What single person, like as we would say through history, when you look at the atrocities that have been committed and things, terrible things that people have done, or that governments have done, but still human beings have to do those things.
Right.
I mean, you got to
Right.
be pretty,
I don't live in this town. Whatever.
right.
Dump it
I mean,
there.
you got to really justify that out. I'm going
Right.
to dump this. I know what it is, but I'm going to dump it anyway, and I'll go to Melrose where I live and have
Well,
a
listen,
glass
the
of
town,
water
the town
afterward.
gave permission for this. I mean, I think it's on a private site, some farmland or something. Somebody privately owns it, and now there's a lot of people trying to stop that from happening. I guess they've been able to stop it a
What's it
couple times.
contaminated with when they say that? I mean,
You know what?
maybe that's
Beats
a little
me, but
loose.
people pay big money to find places to dump
Yeah.
contaminated soil. What those contaminants are, I don't know. And
I mean,
again,
they
that's-
could be contaminants that aren't related. I mean,
Sure.
when you got to look at both sides, I guess, without having somebody that can really give us the other side.
Right, and
If
that- and
anybody
those are
knows
things I'm gonna
anybody
search
that
for.
lives in Uxbridge that knows about this, please call them up, tell them an email, or get us some information, because this sounds pretty grim.
Yeah, right.
This sounds pretty bad. It
Just
sounds
the
pretty
9 out of 12 tests that concerns me a little bit, and the fact that they dump contaminated soil, whatever that contaminant is, into a drinking water aquifer.
Yeah, that's not.
Doesn't sound right to me.
No, that doesn't sound too good. It doesn't. Now, what's going on in Northbridge here? I drive by. Where is it? My wife, if she's watching, can text me and tell me, because she won't email me. It's only through text. So if you're out there, text me. Where is it that you drive by and it just smells like feces?
Oh
Where is
yeah,
that?
yeah. Well, if you're coming from your house and you get to Plumber's Corner, you turn left like you're gonna head
Yeah.
towards Uxbridge.
Yeah.
That's there's a plant over there that I forget what they're called, but it's basically they're turning the bad water into.
Well, let me tell you, that water's pretty bad because
Yeah.
it smells like you know what.
It's a waste treatment plant. That's
Yeah.
what they're called.
All
And
right.
yeah, it's right down there. Yeah.
You saved her the text.
There you go. Oh, she still might. She
She's
might
probably not
correct me.
watching anyway.
She might correct
She
me.
might,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm sure I didn't get that right 100%. She'll correct it.
But I mean, that's just nasty.
Yeah.
That
Oh, yeah.
smell is nasty.
Yeah.
It is.
And I think when they were trying to put that plant there, because I lived in town then.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of bucking and kicking about that as well, especially
Yes.
by the residents.
Yes.
And they were given all these guarantees about no odor, blah blah blah. I think they failed that.
Yeah, they definitely, whatever
Yeah.
they said,
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
work.
I have
But
to
you know
drive
where
by
it
it
did
every time
seem
to
to
come
work,
here.
though, is up at, what was it, Berkowitz
yeah.
that started? Right.
Were they able to do that?
I think that they were, weren't they? Were they? Does anybody know?
I know what
Yeah.
what's going on with a live audience now. Is that what we're coming to here? We got
Look,
live
it's
audience
getting
every
big,
week?
bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
We're trying to be like Man Cave.
You're
Show.
gonna have like applause signs.
Listen,
up
the
in
Man
back here?
Cave show, right, has had so many people here.
Yeah.
I came once, and they really pack a crowd.
Really?
I mean, legit
Yeah,
crowd.
yeah.
Now,
Well, there's real beer on the show, isn't there?
I don't know. I can't confirm
Everybody's
or
got an
deny
angle,
that.
you know
I
what I mean?
can't confirm or deny any of that. I can't do that. I wouldn't do that to Rich.
Right.
I wouldn't do it to him.
Well, I don't know. I was really asking the question. I was making an assumption, I
Yeah,
guess.
I know. I don't know that to be true or false. I was on the program once or twice. I think once, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
And what, you have your Freedom Network up with a little
I
Captain
don't
Coke or
remember what
something like
yeah,
that?
that's what I would like, but you know, I think
Well,
that it's like a bear bar, so
all right,
I was
all right,
at a little loss. You know where I was, incidentally, was the brewery
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
here in Northbridge.
Haven't been, but
You
I've heard
haven't
about
been?
it.
All right, we talked about smells. I'm going to tell you the honest to God truth. It smells in there like the hops and the barley and all that. I mean, it really, there's an odor in there. But I'm going to tell you something. They have some beer in there that is dynamite.
Yeah.
I mean dynamite. I happened to have a few extra minutes the other day, and I stopped in, and they had a stout that was, I mean, just absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
And prices, very reasonable.
Really?
Too. Very reasonable, yeah. I have only been in there twice.
What was the name of this stout, do you recall?
Oh, I don't remember.
That way I don't have to go, my buddy,
It
he told
was,
me about some stout.
Just, yeah, I walked in and I said, what do you have for really dark, nutty flavored beers?
Yeah, yeah,
She's like, it's not that nutty, but I think you'd like this. And I just, you know.
And you did.
But you
She
can
was
get
right.
flights in there and everything.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I guess they have a food truck that comes. We
Okay.
ate from the food truck one day.
All right.
Different local food trucks all the time.
Oh, they go there.
Yeah, so you get to get like barbecue
Yeah.
one time, and you might get you know, sandwiches the
happens to
next
be there.
time.
Do they have it like it posted? What
Yes,
day or
if
what
you
night
like them
do-
on Facebook, they post it right on there.
Who's gonna? Which truck's
Yep,
gonna be there?
which truck is going to
That's
come?
pretty neat.
It really is
I wonder
pretty
how
neat.
much they're getting from the food trucks.
You
on
know, I was talking to the food truck person because you know me, I gotta
Yeah,
have
yeah,
a
you gotta
conversation,
know the angles.
and they do pay them to come there.
Yeah.
So they
Right.
do make sure they book them in there. I think is how it
Right,
all works.
right.
But I'll tell you, overall, it's a great place. Now
Do
that
they
I've
pay
been
them
there
a
twice,
fee? Do you know if they pay them a fee or is it like a percentage of?
it's probably a fee if it's anything.
See, I'd rather
you
it
know.
be a percentage.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
Well, if you have a bad
Yeah.
night, it's a small amount. Right?
Yeah, right. If you're in the food truck, you'd rather it be a percentage.
Right.
If you're in the brewery, you'd rather it be a fee. Right? But it was really really good. I think it's one of the newer businesses in town,
Yeah.
and it was nice. The people are very nice inside, very knowledgeable. Because I'm not a beer drinker.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I'm not. I mean, I'll drink, but I like a good crafty or a nice dark. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like too hoppy. I'm very, you know, but it's really good. It really and they brew
I'll
it
check it out.
right there. I mean, it's right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, you talk about a fresh beer.
All right. How'd they even get in town? I thought Northbridge doesn't like new business in town. What's
You know,
going on
I mean,
there?
that's what I would think. They
How'd they get
usually
in there?
don't. They usually don't.
They slide in under the radar and then ask forgiveness afterwards.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's usually what happens. No, they. It's funny because they opened up as a brewery, and then someone had said to me, "Oh, I saw a post or something." They're like, "It's not really a brewery; it's a bar." And I'm like,
Oh, is it? So it's
So
more,
you walk in
so
there.
it's more of a bar
It's set up.
atmosphere?
There's tables.
Yeah.
There's a bar area. You
Yeah.
can go up to it. You can sit outside on a nice day. It's pretty nice.
Now, are there like windows that go to the stills or?
Oh yeah, you can see right
can
there
see
when
right
you
in it.
walk in.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
to the left. I mean, it's not windows, but it's just a huge open area. The place
Okay.
isn't that big.
Right.
You know where it is? It's you take a right right after remember
I wanna say
where
it's down-
Brian's used to be.
Okay. All
You
right.
take that kind of right there, and it's on the left,
Okay.
right in that
All right.
mill that they redid. It was good.
Well,
It was good. I like to give people a good shout out to local businesses.
sure. Absolutely.
You know, because there's a lot of them in town. To be honest with you, that people don't really know about. I see posts all the time about Crothers as well. People
Mm-hmm.
just having a decent experience there. People
Yeah.
just I've never used them, but
I
people
have.
just
I've had
you know.
good and bad.
good
so,
and bad.
Yeah, you know.
Well, I guess in a those situations are tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough business to be in.
More good than bad. How about that?
Well, there you go. I think if
A
you're
couple
at
of fails.
62%,
But exactly. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm certainly not knocking them.
What do you think about taxes in general? We were talking about an override. Well, no, it's an
Personally-
override for a debt exclusion here, but what do you think about total taxation?
Oh, I love it.
You love it.
I love it. The
You're
more-
all about
the
it,
more
right?
the merrier.
Yeah, the more the
Give me
merrier.
some taxes.
Give me some. See,
Give
and
me
I
s-
can't.
give me some sweet
And that's why you
taxes.
moved out of the town, right?
Yeah,
it was
because I
just
wasn't
too
paying
cheap.
enough in
It was too cheap. How many people have done that? I wonder. It's funny, you know. They all want to yell about it.
Well, listen, when you yeah, this is probably, well, I shouldn't say this, but when you move back here from Buffalo, New York, you realize that you're actually not paying too many taxes.
Oh, because in New York, forget about it.
The housing is a lot cheaper, but the amount of tax you pay on that, it's ridiculous.
Is it?
You might buy a house for 150, but you're going to pay like $14,000 a year in taxes.
You're kidding.
No, I kid you not. An average house out there is $12,000 a year.
That
For
is
an average house.
That is absolutely amazing.
So
I mean,
think
to
about
think-
that. That's $1,000 a month.
You never own. You
It's
don't even own
$1,000
the
a month
houses.
in
You buy the
taxes.
houses. You don't own the houses.
Right.
You rent the
Right.
land for X amount of dollars.
Sure.
Whatever the town
Right.
charges you.
Forever.
Not
yeah. And
everywhere.
Even when the house itself is
but-
paid off, you're still paying the taxes
Still
on the
paying.
land.
Oh yeah, it's always there. It's
Yeah.
always there.
Yeah.
So it's and I say to people all the time, if you think you own it, once you own it, don't pay those taxes.
Right. And see if they come in. Right.
I once did a mathematical equation. Sat down and I said, how much do I really pay in taxes? So I took the percent of my check that was gone.
Yeah.
Not the benefits, but just the things that I would consider taxes. But then I added up all the fees. I don't get
License
fines, thank
renewals,
God, but
license
all the fees,
renewals,
any fines I couldn't incur,
excess,
but
yeah.
I didn't add them because I didn't have any. Just everything into it. Just add all of it. And then I came up to that percent.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, now, hang on, how much of my money do I think is spent on taxable things? Meaning I go to the store and
Sure.
I buy
Yeah.
Freedom
Coffee mug.
Network cup.
Right.
I'm paying a percent on that.
Right.
So I added that into it. And yeah, I did all the licensing, all the inspection stickers. I guesstimated on gas.
Sure.
I don't know.
It's 20-something cents, I think.
It's
in this
right
state,
around there,
like 30
34,
cents,
I
yeah,
think,
something
with
like
the
that,
Fed kick or something like
yeah.
that. So
Well, the Fed's like 49 cents.
yeah,
or
I
something.
guessed. I had to guesstimate that.
Yeah.
And I came out. I started to get close to 50%,
Right.
and I
I'm
stopped.
surprised it wasn't a little higher.
I stopped. It could have been. Because I
And
didn't
it
keep
may
going.
be, and it may
I
be.
just stopped.
Right.
And I mean, close to 50% of your money is going for some reason in some way to a government entity.
Sure.
Well, how did that happen?
And since you make so much money, that's a large. Woof.
Vast
Woo.
resources of the Rosenberg Empire. But really, I mean, I cannot believe. And then I started to think about, well, what if you made $27,000, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or what if you got into the point where they give you back most of your taxes, but you still have to
I found
pay.
a loophole in that. I have a million kids.
Yeah, true. That,
Wealth distribution. Thank you.
yeah, that's right. I'm still waiting for the
Right, for my-
certificate on
right,
that
for my
one
kids, yeah,
from
right.
Years ago, I'm almost can't retroactively file anymore. But I looked at somebody that was just a fictitious person, not a real person, that was making, let's say, 25 grand a year, and I took out a lot of the income tax,
Yeah.
but then I kept all the other taxes,
And he's still. Right.
and he's up there.
Sure. Absolutely.
He's up there. I mean, he's up
Yeah,
there in the
right. So,
in
right,
the
so
30%.
he's getting his whole 25,000, but everything he buys, all his gas, all those other little intangibles. that you
Absolutely,
listed.
and he can't get back his Social Security. He
Right.
can't get back his Medicaid. There's certain things he can't get back.
Yeah.
Then I thought about this, and I said, geez, now let's really think about the compound the whole tax problem. And it's a problem. Now, you get paid X amount of dollars every single week, and out of your check is certain taxes. Some of those federal taxes, the employer has to match,
Right.
right? So if you pay $50 in tax, federal income,
Right.
this portion of it,
Yeah.
they have to put that money up as well.
Right.
So you never see it. It's not credited to you in any way, shape, or form, but
Right.
they have to pay it. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
So let's say they're paying you a lonely, $300 a week or five, whatever it is, right? And you're struggling to get by, and they're paying more in those taxes to them. So where do all those corporate taxes fall out?
Right.
Because there's no key. Like, you don't get your receipt and say, oh, yeah, and I had to pay this tax for that corporation. But they are a for-profit company.
Right.
So they're going to include in a lot of expenses what they have to pay in taxes.
Sure.
And if they're big enough and they're importing or exporting, you have to understand that when you buy this cup, you're also paying other taxes in that.
Sure.
So it's all good to say, kill the company, right? Tax them higher. You keep taxing them higher. But look at their profit structure in these Fortune 500 companies. They don't change much.
Right.
If they raise their taxes, their profit, may move a little bit, but not much. Why? Because they're building that into the
Sure.
prices.
Yep.
And also probably taking it from the wages. Let's be honest. The more you pay somebody, the more taxes you have to pay. By law, the more workers' comp insurance, liability insurance.
Right.
It's very expensive to employ people.
Yep.
What the person gets, what you get in your check, is a small amount of the risk and cost of actually employing you to be there.
Right.
And I think that we forget about that sometimes. And when we really look at the money, which we've talked about money before, but I mean, forget that argument. It's fake. We get it. But when you look at your fake pile of money, right, and you say, look at I made this, right? The best thing is when a kid gets a job. It's the best thing in the world. Because even though they're going to get back most of that money, and they do get back most of it, not all of it, but most of it. The first thing they do is they say, I'm making $11 an hour. I work 10 hours, right? I should have $110, or whatever it is, right?
Right.
So they get their check and they get
83,
$67.50,
yeah, right,
whatever it is,
right.
right? $72.20.
Yeah.
And they always go, wait a minute.
I thought
Where's the
I worked.
rest of my
I thought I
money?
worked 11 hours.
It's the best aha moment. That's how you make conservatives.
Right. Yeah,
That's when they start.
I think. Listen. I think
That's
we'd
when
have a
they
lot
start.
more conservative. I think we talked about this once before on the porch late at night.
Yeah.
Is if you didn't get any money taken from your
Amen,
weekly
buddy.
check, and then got a bill from the government
Yeah.
once a month for what you've earned, and it was at the same rate that it is now.
Yep. But,
The not so
yeah.
bad rate that
Sure.
some people like to say it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
And imagine that they could now.
But now you got a bill for that whole thing at the end of the month. Your Social Security tax, your payroll tax, all those little things that you're seeing,
Yeah.
come out of your gross. Those
Pay 'em
are being
yourself.
taken from you weekly. But if you got a bill once a month, or how about this? Even better. How about quarterly?
It's a fantastic idea. Quarterly would even be better.
Oh.
It would be. You want to see taxes go down. You want to see taxes go down. That's the way that you get taxes down. If and the government knew this.
Right. Well, yeah.
They're very smart. They knew that, and that now there's a whole industry attached to people that have to work for these corporations to make sure that they're taking this out and that they're doing the right thing. I mean, they have now become the bookkeepers. What the heck does Walmart? Let's use them for an example. They don't. Why do they have to be the bookkeepers for
Yeah,
the
why do
government?
I have to take this?
Right. Why do I have to
5%
do all this?
or 6.25%.
Right.
Why do I have to
Why
take
am
it
I
and then give
taking
it to
all
you?
this? Right.
Right.
Why don't I just report it?
Right.
I mean, they got us all coming and going. They know every step we take.
Sure.
So why do you pay any? You should be paying all your taxes. You make $500 a week. You should get $500 a week.
Right.
You get 25 grand a year. Now, if they want $6 from you a year, then damn it, make people write the check for it. You won't see taxes so high anymore.
Right.
I've actually asked people, right, where I've been in a work situation where, well, what are you making now, right? I can remember back when I was with another company, and that was very big with them, right? Is what are you making, and where do you want to go, and all that stuff. And people would always tell me the after tax,
Right.
and I would always say to them, well, no, that's not what you make. You earn that whole check. That's your check.
Right.
They take that money from you, but that's your money.
Right.
Well, I don't count that. People are so brainwashed that they don't even think of the pre-tax, the gross, right? They only think the net. That's their money. That's what they earn. You earn the gross. That's what you earn. That's your money.
Right.
And
then they see their take home $450.38, and then I don't know, maybe 8 months later they see $432.27. Well, what happened there? They look, I paid a little more in federal tax this week. I don't know what's going on there.
Right. And come the end of this year.
But they don't, whatever.
I'm
Still
very
going
eager
with
to
the
see
day.
what happens in April this year, because after the tax cuts that just went through, I've talked to many people, some accountants, some armchair accountants, some real ones. And there's an unfortunate common theme that a lot of people are going to owe money because of the fact that they're not taking out as much. Companies have actually sent flyers to people saying, maybe you should take out a little more. And there's going to be people that are used to getting back $2,000 that are going to get back nothing, or there's going to be people. This is what I hear. Now, I hope that with there's exemptions that have gone away, but then there's other exemptions. The whole thing seems like smoke and mirrors to me. I took a lot of crap from the Trump lovers when I wasn't so excited about the tax cut. I mean, they were ready to like kiss this guy's boots, and I'm like, what? It's $30 a week, $40 a week.
Right.
I'm supposed to what? It's like the same thing with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
taxes
right,
that we were
right,
talking about at the
right.
beginning of the show.
Yeah.
So instead of screwing me for 20%, you're gonna screw me for 10. Yeah, you rock. You know what I mean? So you gave me $30. You're still taking 50% of my money. I'm supposed to thank you? Thank you. I get it. I get it. I'm gonna get the emails now, but he can only do what he can do, and he can't work miracles, and he's got to work through this. And I get it, but I thought he was a miracle worker. I thought he was the best deal maker, the best. He was best.
Yeah.
So I expect best, not excuses.
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm still happy that he's there and Hillary's not, because let me tell you, that would be a complete disaster.
That would be
They
trouble.
keep on rumbling about, is she going to get charged? Now that the
Oh,
investigation is, and I always say to him, like, guys, she's not getting charged with anything.
Right.
He doesn't even mention that anymore.
Right.
He
Yeah,
don't
he
care.
doesn't. He doesn't even.
He
want
will start to mention it as we get closer to the 2020 elections. That's when all that will come back up again, all the same issues. And I read the stuff that people are running now. I'm gonna enact term limits. I think John Kingston says that, right? How? What's your plan? How are you gonna get it? We can't even get a sponsor for it federally, never mind in this state. You're not
Right.
gonna get any sponsors for that.
Yeah.
That's what gets me kind of crazy about some of these politics.
That's the key to the whole thing too. Term limits. Ugh.
Oh, it's so important. And it's so funny that they never really envisioned that, and this is the funny thing, they never envisioned that anyone would want to do that job. They used to draw straws to see who would go vote. They wouldn't even have an election
Yeah.
to find a rep. They would just wait. It would come, shit, we got to send somebody to vote. Draw straws, you know, and they would fight about who was going to have to take the trek. It's 2 days to get up to Philly or to get to Boston or wherever area you want to talk about.
Right.
And to go represent the people. And then you would not want to do that. You'd want to work your job, your farm, your world, and then you would just, and they would just take a consensus right in a barn. There's great stories about that. People can read. There's so much history now that you can get because of online.
Yeah.
The stories are absolutely fascinating about how they would just gather the people together. You know, these are the things. The guy would come back because they had, you know, either a telegram would come and they would bring them the issues that were going to be coming up, or they would go there, get the issues, and then they would make some decisions and then bring back what they were going to take up the next time. It wasn't their full-time job. You know what I mean? They just went, did it, voted the way the people wanted, and went, phew, I'm done with that, man. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that crap anymore. Your turn now, Jimmy.
Yeah.
You know, you go fight the natives, you know what I mean, and trek all the way up there. But that's what it used to be. It was a real, they just never thought of it. And it's funny because they did think of it with the president, because that's such absolute possible power, even though the job description of the president and what the president does today are absolutely completely different things. But I learned, actually, it's funny, I was talking to a guy, we're going to get him on the show, constitutional nut, right? Great, I mean that in a good way. Knows his stuff about it, and he does a program. I'm working on trying to get him onto this
Now,
program.
is he on your page, one of your Facebook pages?
He could
do
be.
I see some of that
You
stuff
may.
sometime?
Yeah, you may. You may.
Somebody's been hammering the Constitution on your page.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that could be Robert.
About it.
With
no,
the
no,
Federalist
not,
Papers?
No, there's some other guy besides Robert
Oh,
that's been.
yeah, I gotta
Robert
scroll
does
through
too,
them.
definitely. I love.
Well,
that.
he's on the Federalist Papers.
love
He's
that.
been retyping them because he wants to read them again.
Yeah.
And I said to him, what do you copy and paste these? He goes, no, I type it out. And I said, why do you do it? And he goes, because I want to read through them again.
Yeah.
So he sits down quiet, and he gets the Federalist Papers, and he just gets it online,
Reads it and
split
types it.
screens it. I'm assuming. I hope you do that, Robin, because it would be ridiculous if you were in a book, right? And types it in and takes in the information.
Yeah.
And something that we learned was all about, you know, they say about these deals that Trump makes, like with trade and all that. Do you know he's not supposed to do that without the consent
I
of
would listen. I was reading that stuff
two-thirds?
on your page.
Yeah, you were, weren't you?
Yes, that's right.
2/3 of the consent of the
Yeah.
Congress.
Yeah.
And they do it.
Yeah.
There has been no constitutional
Yeah, and
president in our lifetime.
you have someone that's such a trumpet that's like, oh, I don't care about that.
Oh,
Even
I
though
do.
He would
Oh, I
claim,
got him.
He would claim that he's a constitutionalist.
He did years ago. I
Yeah,
know he.
But now it's like, I don't.
Doesn't
care.
matter now.
I
Well,
don't
because
care.
people, the love for Trump is just like the love for Obama. There is no difference.
Right.
It is it's love, man. I mean, it's like you love your children. It's that kind of love. And just like with your children, they mess up, they do something. Yeah,
Right, but they
you're
can't
trying-
really
you
do
might
any
get
wrong,
mad at him
right?
in
They can't
private,
really do any
right?
wrong,
But
yeah.
in public, he didn't mean it that way. It's a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
And I find that to be the biggest issue
Irritating.
we have in
I find
politics.
that to be irritating.
It's the biggest issue we have. It was the
More,
same thing.
listen, I find it more irritating with the Trump people than I did with the Obama people. It's like that was kind of the norm for me,
You know what I think it is, Jim? I think that you expect more from
Is
the
that what it is?
conservatives
Yeah.
because of all that happened, let's say, during Obama.
Mm-hmm.
When Obama was president, I could go on and I could say, this policy is terrible, and 10 people would tell me I was a racist.
Yeah.
Right? Well, they don't even know me. They
Yeah.
know nothing about me, but I must be a racist because he's black and I don't like his policy, so I can only be a racist.
Right.
Which is crap, But I never expected for that type of feverish love to come to the right.
To the right side, yeah.
And when it
it's
did,
bugging me
that's
more.
when
It
I
bugs
bailed.
me more,
Yeah, I bailed because I was a registered Republican my whole life. See ya, out. I don't want any part of it. I don't want any part of it anymore because I just look at it and I see this, just this. I don't know what else to call it, but love and blind faith. It's like religion. It's like the way people believe in Jesus or in God or in Allah. They believe in Obama and Trump. It's like there's no, you just kind of float right from the Bible right to these people. People even do it with Reagan.
Yeah,
You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah.
Who,
I did. I
you
think
know,
I did a little bit myself over Reagan.
Absolutely, I did too. Look, I did with I was in the game like everybody, not
Yeah,
everybody,
yeah.
but most other people, and slowly I
Did you
started
knock?
to.
I mean, did you knock Reagan for much? Even the things that you probably should have knocked him for.
No, and I
Probably
was a
didn't,
kid,
right.
but when he was
Yeah, yeah.
president. But no, going forth, I mean, my God, he's great. I still have on my Facebook page one of his quotes, because his quote's great. You know
Right.
what I mean? But at the end of the day, you read the books now, and you
Right.
can find out what was going on.
Sure.
Christ's sake, I mean, there was a pretty scary time in the White House, while he was slipping away.
Right.
And I think that his initial love for America was great.
Mm-hmm.
I think his speeches were great. I think that we should have learned something. He didn't. One thing that I got to give Reagan credit for, as much as I've been knocking every president in the world for the past year or so, right? At least past, I'd say 75 years. Just not very many useful presidents. But one thing that he did do was he was engaged comparatively to today in very small physical wars.
Yeah.
Some, but not like today. I mean,
Sure.
today, without declaring war at the drop of a dime, we'll just
We'll
blow
just
up a
go.
country.
Yeah.
Right? We've been at perpetual illegal war since World War II, in reality, last legally declared war that we had. So all these wars that we fight aren't legal
Right.
through
Yeah, that boggled my mind
constitutionality.
because when you posted that question on
You were
a
ready to
couple
bust me
years
on
ago,
it, yeah.
Oh no, I would have swore up and down that
The
it was
Gulf
Vietnam
War,
or
Vietnam,
something.
or Korea.
Yeah. Well, Vietnam, I thought for sure was a declared war. I could
Yeah.
was
No,
blew my mind that it
they
wasn't.
just never have, and it's and people don't realize that. But to have what Reagan did was he spent the same money, trillions of dollars. He put us in debt. I mean, the guy crippled the whole debt system. He enabled the whole monetary system to really fleece us with big interest on fake money that didn't even exist, but they were just printing it out of thin air. I mean, this guy was like the spender of spenders. But he also did influence the world in a positive way. His relationship with Margaret Thatcher was absolutely a key to having some stability in Europe. And when you looked at the communists starting to soften, right? They were starting to soften. They were starting to get a little more like, oh my God, we're spending all this money, but we don't have capitalism. So we can't really replace it as fast as America can. And you know what? Reagan just kept building bombs. Then he was going to build Star Wars. He was going to build. He just didn't care. He was just spend it. But you know what? There's a difference. Thousands and thousands of Americans didn't die. That's the difference. That today, thousands and thousands of Americans are dying. They're fighting in wars. They are wars,
Right.
whether they're declared or not.
Right.
It's. I mean, these are brave people fighting. And we haven't accomplished a tenth of what he accomplished globally. Now you can say there's a lot of outside factors that go into that, but you gotta give the guy in charge either the credit or the deficit. You can't. I mean, it can't go both ways. You can't say, well,
Sure.
it was the Obama was His economy was awful, but that was because of Bush. So is Trump's economy really then because of Obama?
That's what.
Right?
That's what Obama fans would say.
Right? Exactly. And then, so I think that when you go through all that I think that every man or woman that's president needs to stand right up on their own 2 feet.
Right.
What happens under your watch is your deal,
Right.
your problem, your successes, your non-successes.
Right.
And if you can't control it, I just hate this, it's everybody else's fault. To me, that's a very now new thing in the 2000s where it's never
very generational.
anybody's fault. You know,
Yeah.
it's never their fault. It's what this one did. It's what that. But when I look back and I think about it, when I was a kid, I was so worried that because teachers used to tell us Reagan's going to get us into a world war. He's going to get us into all these wars. We're going to be fighting. We're going to have hundreds of thousands of troops, and we're going to be fighting Russia and all. None of that happened.
None of it happened.
But yet here we are since 9/11, literally at just perpetual endless war. It's just not going to end. Trump ain't ending it. Whether Trump wins or loses, that next person, unless there's an outsider from somewhere, they're not going to do anything about it.
Right.
There's too much money involved. So I just get nervous for the, for the kids. You know what I mean? For the people that are coming up. I
That's
think
your high-tech source tonight, by the way?
Yeah, that's it.
Where's the computer?
Oh,
What's going on?
please tell me about updates. They got to update. The only thing I use a computer for is this show. I don't use
That's
a
it,
computer
Gary.
for anything. No, I can get that on here.
yeah.
No, I don't use a computer for anything, right? Nothing, except for the show. So sometimes when it sits, as I wasn't here last week, it doesn't update.
Right.
So
okay,
then it's
you
got an
turned it
update.
on,
I
and now
turned it on. It's like
already-
update.
yeah,
20%,
yeah,
25%. I'm like, I'm not gonna make it.
Right.
I met the wife, had a drink, and came over here. You know what I mean? It's I just had to walk away from it. I was gonna lose my mind. I wanted to.
Sure.
You know how I get with computers and stuff. I'm not very technologically advanced, but I just think that when we look at these presidents, when we look at politics today, it's so biased, it's so slanted. Everything is for a reason. There is absolute agenda everywhere. There is no real
Right. There's
information.
not. Right. There's no.
Can't find it.
Right. No one's just putting out the information. Agreed.
Trump learned that himself. He learned it. If you notice, Trump never, ever since Bannon, he does not differentiate between left and right media anymore. Because he had this guy with him. Guy was just not a upstanding kind of guy to me at all. I read up on him, and I thought one thing of him, and I said, this can't all be true. And then I really just tried to keep finding out more information. Everything I found out, I liked the guy less, and I'm like, why does he have this guy with him? This is
Right.
stupid. He's going to bite him in the neck. He's
Right.
going to do it.
Right.
And sure enough, he did. And Trump threw him out, which I thought was a great move. And then when he got back to Breitbart, he's the Breitbart guy. When he got back to Breitbart, they stabbed him right in the back. And they still are to this day. And that's the right news,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
It's stupid. There just is no more media. I look at ABC, you look at CBS, you look at NBC, you look at Fox, you look at it. That's all they're doing is pushing agendas. You watch the same story. It used to be that you had a couple of anchors and you watched the one that you liked.
Right.
Because you connected
Because you
with
knew
them.
the information
brought
was going
them
to
into
be
your living room.
relatively the same.
Exactly,
But
yes.
it was who you
That's
personally.
right. If you were watching Cronkite or
Right.
if you were watching. But now in today's day and age, we have journalists that are being fired because they're making stuff up. Look at Dan Rather. Look at, what was the other interview where they cut the thing up? It was, what's her name? My God, her name just went away from me. She's getting older now. I guess I am too. Just cutting it in a way to make it look a different way than it actually was. And this has now happened 2 and 3 times with very prominent networks. I will say, though, I don't think it's happened to Fox yet. I'll give them that. I don't think it's happened to Fox. I watch them all. I'll sit there and flip through all of them.
Well, I do too. I guess I levitate towards Fox more, but not. It's only certain ones that I kind of like Tucker. He's one of my favorites. to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
I find Fox to be like this program. I don't really find them to be news, though. I just find that they have guys that opine
It's an hour
politics.
after an hour and after an hour of someone's opinion. That's all.
Right. And I think
But
that
I think they more tote it that way.
they do,
than
and that
others.
gives them a little
Do you
more
know what I mean?
credibility.
Like,
Sure, it does.
They generally, most of them are saying, that their opinionists here.
Yeah. No, that's 100% true. They definitely treat it, but sometimes they get on that
They do. Yeah.
wagon
Yeah.
of, and that but I think Trump was right to call him out. I really do, and I think that because he's not offering, if he was saying, look, there's this news network, and this is the one that you need to watch,
Right.
and it's all just about him and how wonderful he is,
Yeah.
then I'd say he's full of crap,
Right.
right? Because all he's trying to do is direct you to where you can be brainwashed the way he wants you to be brainwashed.
Sure.
But he's not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
He's just calling out that the media sucks, and it does. It does. I don't know where to go to get. Like, people have asked me on Facebook, Gary, where do you go to get news?
Between the lines.
Yes.
That's what it always is now. I mean, it's like, okay, now let me look into that.
It's
a
so
little deeper.
true. It's so true. People say to me, where do you get your news? And I say, I struggle to get my news. I watch everything and read as much as I can.
All right.
I click on things, I read things, and then I click on something else. I read that. I'll read, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, get it, and then do what you said. Just read in between, and try to find at least I look for three big common threads.
Sure.
Like, if they were talking about the Russia thing. So if they take the same story and look and go through all the networks, you'll find about 2 or 3 constant threads. That's where I say the truth is, and that's it. That's it. That's the only truth I got. I don't.
About as close as you can get, and then
Yeah,
even
and
that's
I don't
probably
think
not,
that's
even
truth
that's probably
either.
not the truth
No,
either.
because if you really want to come down to it, I thought that's what was happening. This comes in from Tom. What we need is another Harry Truman. He had made tough decisions and never passed the buck. He did have to make a lot of tough decisions, that's for sure. He did. Real decisions, I think, that are a lot more impactful than some of the decisions that were made today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he made the decisions, based on, I'd have to say he made the decisions based on what he truly, I think, thought was best for the country.
There you go.
I don't know if I agree with everything.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, as long as that's where you're coming from.
It's better than this crap that we get today, I'll tell you that. It's rough. I mean, it's rough. It really is rough. Mm-hmm. We got to go, Jim.
I noticed that.
Time.
Just
It
before
just
you
flies
opened, I was
by,
like, really? Is it that time already?
It really and truly is.
If I come in a few minutes late every time, it feels like a quick show.
Interesting. It is a quick show. Now, see, everybody, texts come in and everything, because now everybody wants to talk. It's so funny. I don't get
listen, we're gonna have to do a survey on whether people like me here or not, because I do have some critics out there.
You do. But that's okay.
It's been
so
voiced-
should I
and
do a
it's been
poll on
voiced-
Facebook?
Well, yeah, it's been
Take 'em or
voiced
leave 'em?
directly at me too.
Yes. Take them or leave them poll? But here's the deal. I don't know that that'll be a binding
No,
referendum.
it's a curiosity
You just
thing.
curiosity?
That's all,
I think that you add some color to the show. You're like, I like it. I like it.
I don't mind it either. It gets a little easier.
All right, folks. I'm going to try to get lively in here. I am possibly not here next week, but after that, we should be pretty smooth running until we get up toward Thanksgiving. But I will get lively back in there. He said he would, and I take him as a man of his word. And also, don't forget that we do have the school committee that they had to reschedule. Their people are working with my people. We'll get that done, and we'll get them on here. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you,
Jim,
Gary.
thank you guys for stopping in. We'll see you next time.
Because we are the prey.